The carolers were in the yard singing when the child opened the door. She squealed in delight and ran to fetch her mummy, to show her the wonderful singers. She held her mother's hand as she pulled her to the door. "Come on, Mummy, you need to see them and hear them sing," she said. Her mother reached the door and screamed, for there were 7 of her neighbours strung up to the roof of her gallery. She knew this day would come, when he would find her again. They were in pieces that were sewn together again, blood leaking from everywhere. She held her daughter close to her. She knew she didn't understand. She saw a note on the ground. "For my darling princess, here are some new dolls for your collection. Love, Daddy." My daughter and I were dozing on the sofa, listening to holiday music and enjoying the warm glow of our newly decorated Christmas tree. I thought she'd fallen asleep, but she grabbed my arm and pulled herself closer. "What's the matter, baby?" I asked. "I wish Christmas trees didn't have to die," she said. I looked at our tree and started to think about it in a new way. It had been a baby once too, an innocent seedling growing peacefully among other trees, feeling the wind through its burrows, pulling water into its limbs as they stretched to meet the sky, growing each day, loving the sun on its branches, adoring the rain running through its needles, growing, sheltering birds, quietly sleeping, gently breathing. Then someone had chopped it down. It was dying as they tied it up and crammed it into a dark truck, dying as they propped it up among other trees, their severed trunks smashed against the unforgiving ground, their arms bound tightly to their sides, dying as we dragged it to our house, hung decorations, and put presents under it. It would still be dying when we dumped it on the curb after New Year's Day. Every Christmas, year after year, we tortured a living thing, laughing while it suffered a slow, painful death, confused, scared, surrounded by strangers. No wonder people get depressed around Christmas time. "Does it make you sad?" I asked. "No," she said. "It's whispering about us, with the ones that died before." "What are they whispering?" "Hate, hate, hate, hate." A slight rustling made its way up the hall to my room, the sound of wrapping paper crinkling in your hand. Instantly awake, I sat bolt upright and huddled inside my quilt. It was true. He was real. Quickly, I went down the dark and silent hall, the old wooden floor icy cold on my feet. I was in awe of the sight. The bulbous man in his fiery ash-laden suit, with his large brown sack by the freshly felled tree, warm candlelight giving him a soft and kind glow. Hearing my pattered footsteps, he turned. "Ah, you shouldn't be up, little one," he said. "It's quite late, you know." The words trailing off, I could see it in the glint of his eye, the recognition and betrayal. He hadn't thought to look behind me, a young child in the night. For this, the creature was upon him in an instant. His blood gave off an eerie glow as I watched, paralyzed with fear. Claws tearing away flesh with ribbons of red cloth, like presents on Christmas morning. He screamed and cried out, wailing in agonizing pain. It didn't stop the creature, its fangs pulling meat from bones, savoring each chunk with disgusting glee. As it stood, its grotesque form stretching up to the ceiling, Nicholas's body gurgled in the corner. I knew it was over. The demon quietly left, holding up its end of the bargain, my family or him. But the realization filled me with a cold sense of dread, and I could only cry there on the floor. I had just killed St. Nicholas. I had just ended Christmas. Why us? Why me? Why him? Our son, not even a day old, is departed. Dead. Cold as the December air. His mother is sleeping peacefully in the other room. Oh, when she wakes up, how do I tell her? How do I tell her we've fallen from heaven to hell so quickly? Do I just show her? No, that would be horrible and wrong. Not that there could ever be a pleasant way to tell your wife that your son isn't moving or breathing anymore, but oh God, why? I can't think of a way to tell her. I can't inflict that pain on her. What makes it even worse is the other newborn I can hear screaming in a home nearby. Dear God, I wish that were our child. Is that my best idea? Oh God, forgive me. But living this lie is better than making her face the truth and its unholy implications. I enter that house. I liberate that crying child. Eye and hair colour seem to be a close match. Hopefully Mary was too tired to get much of a look at her real baby in the brief time they spent together. I rest him in the manger, originally meant for our blessed child. I'll have to help shape the future she knows he's meant to have. I'll spread the right stories to the right people. I'll do what it takes to live the life for her sake. How many others will have to live it, I wonder? Little Tommy was the first found, the schoolyard bully, pushed out a 3-story window in the same sort of fashion that he pushed down those smaller than him every day. Laura was next. She never stopped whining about not having the newest toy, the prettiest clothes. She got her final wish in a way, upon receiving a precious pearl necklace, though you could say it fit a bit too tightly around her neck. Soon John was found, the boy who always refused to do his homework and disrespected teachers. They found him laying on the classroom floor, his fingers now stubs. "I will listen," written 500 times in his own blood on the chalkboard. Shortly after came Maria. She always refused to share, always wanted more. She was found pressed to death under masses of toys. For the homes of children who weren't exactly nice, only screams and tears filled the air Christmas morning. There simply wasn't enough coal to go around this year. Screams woke little Jimmy from his sleep. His eyes were drawn automatically to the Christmas lights still lit in the window. He reflexively jumped as a low moan was let out in the hallway. "Help!" he heard a weak voice cry. He was pretty sure it was his mum's. A scream came from down the hallway where their bedroom was. Jimmy wanted to get out of bed and see what was going on, but he was afraid. "I'm just having a bad dream," Jimmy thought himself, pulling up the covers. Heavy footsteps pounded down the hall. Jimmy covered his head and lifted a small edge of the blanket as a peephole. The first thing to come into his line of vision was a black boot attached to a leg covered in red pants. then a bloody axe. Jimmy stifled a scream, his tiny muscles constricting in his body as he tried not to curl up in terror. He looked up at the man's face. He wasn't looking at Jimmy. His eyes were scanning the room. Jimmy took in the red coat, the white beard. Santa. Santa moved slowly towards the bed. Jimmy felt his heart pumping harder as his breathing became uneven. His bladder was clenching as he tried not to wet the bed. An instinctual need to cry out to his parents washed over him, along with the sinking realization that they had already met this Santa. Jimmy laid still as Santa leaned over him and whispered near his head, his hot, putrid breath slipping through the guard of the blanket. "I see you when you're sleeping, Jimmy. I know when you're awake."